So these are transformers built here.
Yeah.
This is a shortwave receiver.
This is a microwave detector in the range of 9 gigacycles.
Right.
This is a receiver in the ultra shortwave range, 55 to 120 megacycles.
Okay.
This is just an oscilloscope, ordinary type. I don't know the specification. This is also a receiver, I think, in the range 100 megacycles, switch able 200 megacycles, and there's 300 megacycles receiver. Signal generator in the range 180 to 400 megacycles. Switch able 400 to and 5 to 13, different ranges. Signal generator. This is a high frequency switch with 4 ports, switch to one central port. Okay, there are some capacitors, high voltage capacitors. This is a variometer, high voltage coil, feed horn from a satellite dish, some kind of antenna. This thing I don't actually know what it is. Some kind of medium wave antenna, maybe. This is a feed horn, microwave feed horn with 2 polarities. This is a signal generator in the gigacycle range, I think from 15 up to somewhere very high. Also this here is a signal generator with several ranges, I think from 240 kilocycles to 25 megacycles. This is signal generator in 1.8 gigacycle range up to 2.4. Did you have this? No. This is a signal generator in the range from 10 to 480 megacycles. This is signal generator, I think, from 3.4 gigacycles to 8 gigacycles. Lots of these signal generators have internal modulation with different CV, wave, square wave. Lots of signal generators have this feature. Again, something similar in the range 6.8 gigacycles up to 11. So this is a more modern thing, it's some kind of modulation analyzer. I don't know exactly. It's a very modern thing. You can look it up, I think, by HP. Some kind of measurement device. These are frequency counters. Older stuff in the range from 250 to 500 megacycles. And it's the same here, I think. Different? No, it's the same here. Okay. This is, what is this? I think signal generator. Yes, it's again a signal generator, frequency range 2.1 gigacycle down to 1 gigacycle, 900 megacycles. Also pulse modulation, something similar in the range from 1.8 gigacycles to 4 gigacycles. Here, I don't know exactly what's the signal generator range. Again, 400 megacycles down to 50 megacycles in 3 ranges. Again, a receiver like the first one from 8 megacycles to 16 megacycles. Shortwave receiver, standard oscilloscope, very old. You'll probably find better ones. Don't know the specification. Low frequency generator, cycles per second, 1 cycle per second to 12 cycles per second.
Wow, okay, I like that one. I like that one.
In ranges, right? So
Yeah,
it's 12.
So it's
times
1,200.
yeah, and different ranges.
Okay.
And that's one of these power supply units. No, it's a filter actually. It's a cavity. But I don't know the frequency range. I think he has put here different. It's a kind of power supply which he built in a RF filter. It's a weird thing. That one is also a kind of a filter cavity. Yes, it's a cavity with a rectifier, and you tune the cavity and you see the rectified RF on the meter. So it's a kind of passive frequency meter. Again, a signal generator. What's the range? Is where is it? 450 megacycles to 1.2 gigacycle. Modulating, internal modulation, attenuator. This is. I have no idea. Actually, don't know what this is. Maybe also a kind of generator. Don't know. Again, a signal generator in the gigacycle range goes down to 800 megacycle and up 2.4 gigacycles with attenuator, internal modulation. I think this doesn't work at all. It's some kind of logic analyzer, something like this. Higher link test equipment for kind of special HP. No, it's not HP. I don't know exactly what's this. Also, it has a generator inside. I don't know. Again, a frequency generator. It's kilocycles.
With your fine tune here, yeah?
Very large range. So we are now 1.5 megacycles at the end. Also with different modulation, internal modulation. Okay, oscilloscope. Yeah, very old oscilloscope again. You will find this model in the internet. I don't know the specification of the oscilloscopes. That's some kind of logic analyzer with internal memory. You have different channels here. You can switch the binary coding here. So it's a very old logic analyzer. Okay, this again oscilloscopes. Don't know the specification of that. I think it's not very high. You have time bases here in the microsecond range. Okay, again an oscilloscope, also the same microseconds time base. Okay, what's it? As a frequency generator in the microwave range. Where's the frequency? It's 9.5 to 10 gigacycles. Yeah, also with internal modulation, and it has some kind of pulse modulation, radar test equipment.
Special purpose receiver.
Yeah, I don't know the frequency range. Should be here. it's don't know. I think it's megacycles.
I particularly like the steampunk look of this.
Goes from 225 megacycles. Oh, it's running in circle. Okay, something in that range, a few hundred megacycles. What's that? Is that an RCL meter? I think, yeah, it's an RCL meter, which measures at different frequencies. Yeah, you can measure inductors. That's a power meter, which Rode Schwarz power meter with a detector here. Again, high frequency switches with different ports. So the antenna, the original antenna from here, our built antennas. Okay, what do we have here? Power supply, yes, some kind of power supply. Whatever these voltages here you get out. Again, a receiver in megacycle range from 5 to 8. What's that? I know what it converts. It's okay.
Don't know. I love the displays on these.
Yeah. It's again a frequency generator in the range 100 megacycles to 220 megacycles, again with modulation. And you can also watch the waveform here. We had some similar like this microwave frequency generator, range 1.8 gigacycles up to 4.
Yeah, I like that one.
And all these things can be modulated, intern, CV, FM, and mostly they also have pulse modulations. This one, I don't think so, but typically, what's that? Frequency meter, yeah, it's a kind of, how's it called? Beat node frequency meter. The first generation of frequency meters. You have a beat oscillator in there, and you compare the harmonics with the measurement frequency. You can, it's a frequency meter. That is. No, is it? It's a pulse generator, I think. I don't know the exact ranges. Pulse width in microseconds. Yes, it's a pulse generator. 1 to 20 microseconds with pulse width, polarity, switch-able. Okay, this his special spectrum analyzers. His main spectrum analyzers. One was a mixer defect, so we have only one functional.
Okay.
The range is very large, actually, from 20 theta kilo megacycles, so this is 40 gigacycles, down to megacycles, 10 megacycles to 40 gigacycles, so that's quite a range. But it's a very old spectrum analyzer without preselector and without suppression of the mixing products, so it's very hard to use. That is again frequency generator. It's a range. That is the attenuator. Here, megacycles, 450 up to 1.2 megacycles. Again, standard oscilloscope is time base in the microsecond range. But okay, that's what's exactly teleometer. It's from this. It's some kind of resonant measurement meter. I don't see the dial actually, which range. Yeah. It's again a cavity. You tune the cavity. There's a rectifier, and you can measure the resonance of the cavity.
So, contributors here have spent many months cleaning this equipment and repairing it. Mostly, as I understand, finding old electrolytic capacitors and replacing those, and more besides. So the equipment is functional right now, and it really needs the right antennas and the understanding of the antennas that are needed and the arrangement. Now, there are some Hutchison samples here. This is a large aluminium billet, and this is another billet, same diameter approximately. And one thing I was discussing with them yesterday is that in Hutchison's work, when he shows off a lot of his samples, there tends to be this effect occurring at n lambda plus a half lambda, which is essentially what you use for ultrasonics. And so here you have a half wave between here and here, potentially, that is causing an effect to occur in the dead center, where the resonance is maximum, and here it's like one third in from the end. And there was some research done, published in 1959, and then in New Scientist, I think in 1964, where they were using up to 10 gigahertz microwave. I think at around about 10 gigahertz, there's something to do with the atomics that means that it doesn't exhibit this effect. But they were using a piece of quartz, and they were shooting microwaves into it, and then turning off the microwave pulse. And from the end where the signal was going in, the microwaves were going into the piezo properties of the quartz, and it was sending a sound wave that had inside that sound wave the frequency that was initially impinging on it, and it would come down, bounce off the impedance mismatch at this end, reflect off there, come out, and then re-emit electromagnetic waves. And you would get pulses, and the pulses were separated by the time it took to travel and reflect down the bar. So essentially what you've got is some sort of overlaid frequency component onto the traveling sound wave, onto the phonon. And so maybe that's something like what's going on in here. All aluminium will have aluminium oxide on it. Does that help with the impedance mismatch from the microwaves coming in to going into the metal? Who knows? But I'll share those papers and publications for consideration. So one thing I was also discussing is that it tended to be cylindrical billets like these, or spheres that were very good for the Hutchison effect. And essentially what I'm seeing, therefore, thinking about this, is that you have a resonance that is down the length, which is, as I said, n lambda plus a half, like you would do in ultrasonics design. And then you probably have a resonance that's across the diameter. So what Thomas Bearden is saying is that when you get the field interference between two electromagnetic waves, such that where they zero sum, you get electrogravity. And that, in combination with something like the Van de Graaff generator or the Tesla coil up there, potentially is able to create the Hutchison effect. And as I've discussed in previous videos, aluminium seems to be the most susceptible to this effect. And I've suggested that since it's an electron-based effect, and electrons hold the metal lattice together, that the induced, let's say it's charge clusters that are induced into them, affect aluminium because of the low melting point, i.e. its ability to hold the lattice together is lowest in aluminium of the very high melting point, of the very high conductivity elements. It's number 4 in the list. Now, in sonnefusion, Ross George found that silver was by far the most active material in sonnefusion, and the foils maybe exploded or whatever. The interesting thing is, obviously, silver is the most conductive element. Now, because John was often taking his metals from scrap heaps or just standard billets, you wouldn't really want to be getting a lump of silver this big to try the experiment on, just because you didn't even know that it was going to work. But it might be interesting to try silver.